Hey, everybody, it's the 2020 Vision Show. A little earlier tonight than normal. We've got one of the most special guests. I mean, every guest is special, but this one is especially special. And she's so special that we're doing the show early while she's got some good internet down in her area of Jamaica. So I'm not going to tell you who it is yet, but I'm going to bring her on here in just a minute. Hey, it's Nurse Karen Brunk.
Hi, Doc.
So good to have you on the show, Nurse.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Yes.
I always wondered what it would be like to be famous.
Well, see, this is you're going to be this is an hour of fame for you. I'm sure it's going to continue even longer and longer than that.
All right.
Yeah. So great to have you. You've got such a great story when it comes to Jamaica, especially, and even more than Jamaica, but just such a great face story. And you're such a huge part of professional eye care and mission of sight and all that we've been a part of. So we had to wait. You made us even wait another week to get on the show.
Well, last week was Ash Wednesday, and the office was closed, and this is where I have my best internet, so
yeah.
Put you off.
Well, they say good things come to those who wait.
That's right.
They say patience is a virtue.
That's right. I'm still praying for it.
You're praying for patience still?
Yes, I am.
Really? Would you say that you're not that patient of a person?
Well, in this season of my life, I think perhaps I'm more patient than I used to be. Yes. I think I've seasoned a little. I'm a little gentler, a little less rigid than I used to be.
Nice.
My former employees would be very happy to hear that.
Isn't that the truth? Well, you had so much going on. You are always in action. I mean, you're always in move. You're always doing something. Some people might say that you're busy. Would you say that's true?
Even me.
Even you'd say you're busy.
I would say that I'm busy, and I love being busy. So that suits me just fine.
Oh, wow, that's interesting, because like the thing I always say is I can never stand when people say, boy, Doug, you're a busy guy. You're busy. I always feel like I never really gravitate to that word. To me, it has a negative thing, like I'm too busy for people, or I don't have time for someone if I'm busy.
Oh, I see. Well, I take it as a compliment. So.
Oh, nice. Well, that's good. Well, as I like to say I have a full schedule. There's no downtime in our lives.
That's true, even now.
Yeah. We were talking a little earlier, and I was telling you how the reason for the show and the reason what we're doing, a couple different levels. One is to talk about vision. That's a good one. But the real impetus of the show was to tell the story of professional eye care and to tell the story of mission of sight and really how we've gone along, because I've had so many people say to me over the years, you should write a book, you should chronicle it, and every year goes by and I still haven't done it. And so I knew that about the only way I was going to be able to get it done would be to do a show where I talk to the people that are a part of the book.
Right.
And you're unequivocally a huge part of the book. And you would fit into a number of chapters, I'm sure, but I'm looking forward to talking about that tonight and over this next hour that we keep the show going, to talk about the things that you've done, how we got together, how we grew together, and even into what you're doing now, like what God did with us in the early days, what that's taken you to be able to do here in the latter days. And
well, it has truly been one of the most wonderful seasons of my life too. So I'm grateful.
Well, so you're in Santa Cruz now,
Yeah.
which is
Mhm.
just down the road or down the hill, down the mountain from where you've resided for how many years up in Good Hope?
About 18 years now,
Oh my golly.
since 2002. Yeah, almost longer than I can remember. I have been in Jamaica, Doc, longer than I've ever done anything else continuously in my life. So I'm
Mm,
setting a record.
that's great. I was saying that the other day about myself as I've been going to Jamaica longer than I'd been like living in America before Jamaica. Like it's like more of my life has been Jamaica now than it was
Mhm.
America in a
Yeah,
sense.
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, you so I was the other thing is that I was thinking this was I don't know why sometimes I just say things someone's going to say it anyway, but I was thinking your adore what do they call that word, your endearing name on the mountain is Nanny.
Nanny, the children call me Nanny. Yes, they do, and I love it. I totally love it.
Well, one of the national heroes of Jamaica is Nanny of the Maroons.
That's right.
So I was thinking just like 2 days ago, I wonder if Nurse should be like Nanny of Good Hope or Nanny of, what would you be up there? Would you be Nanny of Good Hope or?
No, I don't think so. Most adults just call me Nurse, and no one has any
Hmm.
idea what my name is. In fact, when I have to tell my name to someone, I have to stop and think for a minute because I even just, even introduce myself a lot of times as Nurse. And so that's just fine.
So you'd be nurse. You would definitely be the Nurse of Good Hope.
Could be, I suppose.
You are. I know that. So let's talk about the Nurse of Professional Eye Care because I want to get us into that realm about like how you and I got here. Here's another theme. I'm going to put this banner up. I tend to drop in some banners, but this one definitely fits for us, Nurse.
All
Is
right.
that this word called God incidents?
Yes.
Because I don't believe in coincidences. I don't think you believe in coincidence or luck or
No.
chance or circumstance. Just believe that God's ordained really everything in my life, in your life. I'm sure you
Mhm.
feel the same way. We know that. So our meeting was a God incident, in my opinion, or the way we got together.
It
And
definitely was.
so why don't you share a little bit like your perspective of how we got together or your remembrance of it? Because I know it's not the same as what I remember all the time. So tell us that.
Okay, well, I would just have to back up a little bit to say that, my heart has been drawn to Jamaica for many years. In fact, I came here for the first time in 1984. Were you born yet?
I was
Like,
68. I was born. I wasn't out of
okay.
high school yet though.
All right. And, but that was with a short term medical mission. And I continued to come for over the years, a
Hmm.
number of times. And I always had a feeling that God had this thumb in my back about Jamaica, but I wasn't able to really identify how or when or in what capacity that would be.
Hmm.
But my aunt and uncle were missionaries here with the Mennonite Church in way back in the 50s and 60s, and they had always talked to me about Jamaica. And so on one of my visits to Virginia to visit my Aunt Katie, it was in about the year 2000. Yes, 2000. Um, she showed me a mission article in a magazine that said that they were looking for a nurse to make a commitment of 1 year to the Joyland Clinic in Good Hope, St. Elizabeth, Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And the minute my eyes fell on that ad, I just felt confident that that's what God had been preparing me for
Wow.
all those years.
Mm-hmm.
So I applied for it, and I was accepted into that capacity. So I came to Jamaica in 2002 with the intent of being here for 1 year and then going back to Ohio, which was my home, continuing to do what I always did. But it was during that year that it became very obvious to me that God was really calling me to spend the rest of my life in Jamaica, not just that 1 year. So at the end of my 1 year term with the Virginia Mennonite Missions at the clinic, I continued to stay in Jamaica, began building a house up there on the mountain, um, continued with children and youth ministries, and also traveled back and forth every 3 months to a per diem position to earn enough money to come back for 3 months. And for 4 years, I traveled back and forth. Well, my supervisors from the Mennonite Mission, Galen and Gloria Lehman, they would continue to come to Jamaica occasionally, once a year or so, and we had become great friends, and they would come by, spend the night at my house, which I call Morning Star.
Yeah.
And we would chat and talk about things. Well, they came by.
Well, hold on. I need to stop you there for a second.
Okay.
Because I want to go back on this, because I remember this. It was like a 1 inch by 1 inch ad in some little missional magazine, right?
Yeah, it was.
And you signed up for 1 year.
1 year. That was,
and you never left.
To 2003. Well, I didn't leave except to travel back and forth to continue to earn money, because I felt God wanted me to be here, but I didn't have any real support or financial, way to pull that off financially. And so I was traveling back and forth, and on one of the times that Galen and Gloria Lehman came to visit me here in Jamaica, they said to me, you know what, you really should meet this guy that we met on the airplane. We sat by him and we chatted the whole way down here. His name is Doug McCloy. He's an eye doctor from Ohio. You must know him. And besides that, he's a Nazarene. And I thought, what? Who could this guy be? They said, look, we have his name and phone number, and he gave us permission to give it to you and said you could call him. So I think that's when you and Rhonda were in Mandeville, living in Mandeville, at least part of the time. And so I called you, and we met over in Mandeville. That's how we first became acquainted. And then over maybe a period of a couple of years, we stayed in contact. But it was in 2007 that you finally said to me, look, nurse, what would it take to get you to Jamaica full time? Because I had shared my heart with you and Rhonda, and you all knew that I wanted to stay in Jamaica. And so I told you what I had calculated at that time to support me, and that was $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And so you said, your response was that you thought that there perhaps would be some way that you could help to generate that support, and that if I would come to work for professional eye care, that I could also earn at least a portion of that, and then stay in Jamaica. So it was during that time that we were both traveling back to Ohio at the same time, and I'll never forget it, Doc. You bought my plane ticket. I don't know if I should tell it here because we're missionaries, but you bought first class tickets.
Yeah.
And we sat on that plane and talked nonstop from Jamaica to Ohio, wherever it was that we landed, just, sharing dreams and hopes and all of the things that both of us felt so passionately about Jamaica. And so it was from that you offered me a job at Professional Eye Care. And you came to my home church in January of 2008. And we had a sending service, we called it, where you spoke, you preached, and you broke the news to the congregation that I was leaving for good. It was a sad day for a lot of us. And you used the scripture, Isaiah 30, verse 21, this is the way, walk ye in it. I can just never forget it, because I was very, very sure that God had called me to Jamaica. And here you were helping to make it possible for me to really fulfill that dream and that vision of being here on a full-time basis. And so that's when I came to work for Professional Eye Care. And you were also then developing the plan for the medical center in Westmoreland and Frome. Yeah. And so I think that in your mind, you were thinking that I could maybe learn optical care, kind of what I could do with my management, my administration skills, and then eventually move me over to Westmoreland. But when I went to work for Professional Eye Care, it was in that tiny little corner office, over there in the annex in Mandeville. And there were 2 or 3 employees, which soon became 2 or 1.
Right.
I'll let you tell the reasons. But anyway, it was just a marvelous opportunity for me to take responsibility and use some of the skills that I know God had given to me. And I just really loved working with you because I actually had always wanted to work with someone or for someone that would kind of share that vision of business and what it could become. And one thing I loved about you, and that is that you were not only a visionary, but I could see that you actually knew how to make things happen. And so as you allowed me to serve in a certain capacity in management or professional eye care, use my skills and to complement you in a way, I think, because if you will remember, I used to call you the gas pedal and me the brake pedal. Remember?
Right. Right. Yeah, I do know that.
You're the gas and I'm the brake because I mean you had all these fantastic ideas and you were always ready to go gung ho on anything that came to your mind. And I said, no, wait a minute, Doc, we got to stop and think about this. We got to consider everything and make sure that we're making a good decision here. And you also used to call me a rebel. Remember?
Oh yeah. You really are.
And when you did what I say, do you remember?
Say that one again. What would you say when I say you're a rebel?
What would I respond?
Boy, I can't tell you. I don't remember.
Well,
tell
thank
me.
you, Doc. I would say thank you because I thought, hey, I would never be able to survive, where I was and what I was trying to do. But it was just such an amazing opportunity for me to function there, professional eye care in those early years, and I fell in love with it so much. And with the growth of the company, as we continue to develop various aspects of the business, that I ask you for the privilege of just staying with professional eye care instead of going to Westmoreland. I could never quite figure out how I was going to live on the mountain and work in Westmoreland anyway.
Right.
So this was really a great solution for me to be able to work in Mandeville and still live on the mountain. And so it just became, one of the most, if not the most wonderful season of my life, working with you, for you, although there were years there when I didn't see much of you, if you remember. I can remember, I believe it was Dr. Cox that I hired and told you that I had hired a doctor. And so, I know that you trusted me a lot and I had a lot of responsibility, but I really, really loved it and took pride in the organization side of it and in building a successful little business over there. I can remember one of the first things that we did was to develop the screening program, just in the effort to build our business and try to become better known in the community and in the city. So over there in Mandeville, we would actually pick like streets, I mean, right on a sidewalk or
you'd be on a curb,
a curb practically. Set up a table, I would sit in a chair, I would have someone there to help me who would put up an eye chart on the wall or on a grill on a window someplace and do visual acuity, and then people would sit down next to me and I would talk to them about whatever the problem was with their eyes, and we would take their name and phone number or offer to give them an appointment or to give them one of our cards or talk about something special that we were doing at Professional Eye Care. And quite honestly, I think that was a big factor in the growth of professional eye care.
Oh yeah.
So as professional eye care grew, then we totally outgrew that little corner hole in the wall, you might call it. I mean, excuse me, but that's pretty much what it was.
Yeah, the little red carpet room.
Yeah, the red carpet room. And then, and so we moved to a plaza where we had street frontage, which is where the office still is. But we started there with one small room. And then we had the contractors break through the wall and rented the warehouse that was behind us. And we called that level 2. Then we moved up to the second level, called that level 3, and also level 4. And then went to the second warehouse which turned out to be, and I think still is, an apartment of sorts or a place where you have things and so on.
Yep.
So it was so much fun. And of course, in those years of growth with a lot of patients, a lot of business, man, the hours that we worked, and I can remember, I mean, I'm not bragging, but I was probably the first person at work and the last person to leave,
No doubt.
because that was my dedication to what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, those were in the days. I mean, whoever's watching this, they can know that I don't do it anymore. But that's when I used to carry the money to the bank. Remember, you told me I was like mafia, trying to hide money in places.
You had it like in your water jug and your all kinds of different spots.
I had a water jug that unzipped on the bottom and stuffed full of $1,000 bills and all other things. Anyway, yeah, about the time somebody got shot and killed right outside the Scotia Bank, about 5 minutes after I'd walked in with a load of cash, is the last time I went. I can remember that we had, I think they still do, had security guards then to start coming about 4 o'clock in the afternoon to stay there until we closed to make sure. This is often after dark. By the time we were finished seeing patients, Doc, I mean, this is crazy how busy the days were. And by the time we finished seeing them, it was dark. We still had to go to the bank, go to the night deposit. I didn't do that anymore. And so we would take the guard. I would take the guard in the vehicle with me to the bank after dark at night, to the night deposit. Now, I don't know if that made any sense or not, but I can remember this one night, there was a security guard that was a different one than usually came. And he seemed to want to really impress me with his ability to protect me, as I got out with cash. Yeah. And so when I got out with this big bag of cash to put in night deposit, he also got out of the back seat and pulled his gun. And stood there at the back of my car, it was like in this slow wave, waving this pistol back and forth.
Thanks for letting everyone know that I have money. Yeah.
I was more scared of him than I was of me. Oh boy. So those were the days. I mean, I enjoyed it. I totally enjoyed it so much. And you gave me opportunity for learning, for growth, and even, I got to the point where I wanted to learn how to do testing for glasses. Remember that, Doc?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, boy. You sat down and you started teaching me, and I don't think I was a very bright student. And you said, you know what, Nurse, why don't you just stick with the books? And I said, no, I was so determined. And so I stuck with it. And, eventually I think became very comfortable with it. And, and still am.
You are.
I mean, thankfully I had the opportunity to do that then, because when I finally then reached the point of retiring from administrative duties at Professional Eye Care, I was able to continue with seeing patients, which is what I do here at Santa Cruz now, but not very often, once or twice a week. Yeah. Depending on my other commitments. But it's just something that I really, really love. I love the people, and I just find that they bring me a lot of joy, and I don't find them difficult very often. And we come in here in this exam room, and not unusual for us to pray together or to even to sing a song together. And a lady came in not long ago, and she said, Nurse, you probably don't remember me, do you? And I said, I remember your face, but I'm not sure I remember your name. And she said, well, I came to Professional Eye Care a couple years ago, and you prayed with me because my daughter was sick. And I thought that was really sweet. But I can tell you that some of them have prayed for me. There have been a few times when I've come to work and maybe felt a little down about something. And if I sensed that someone was here who's just connected with me, I would just say, you know what, if you don't mind, would you just mind having a prayer with me right now? And there have been tears, there have been songs. And the lady said to me not long ago, she says, Nurse, last year when I was here, you had this music playing here on your desk, and it was Vestal Goodman singing "The Holy Hills of Heaven Call Me." She said, "Do you think you can find that song again?" I said, so I searched it on YouTube, and there it was. And we just sat here and cried and listened to that music, and it was just so sweet. Those are the moments that I love to still experience here. Yeah. And boy, Doc, I'm going to be 70 years old on my next birthday, and I know one of these days I'm going to have to give this up, but I don't look forward to it because some of the happiest hours of my week is coming to work here at the office.
Well, no, you can hear it in your voice, as you just kind of recanted through like the last 18 years, in about 8 minutes. It's like I just going there with you, but you hear that in your voice because, and the work and the time that I know that you put in and the dedication that you put into it, it's because you've been called to it. It's like you're living out a calling, like you've known your purpose. And I think that's the difference, such a huge difference between a job, a career, a vocation, is that, you have one of the things I love, and we run across the screen, is our call to the recovery of sight. That one of the things I can tell you that I remember is that we kind of use that for mission of sight. But you adamantly and consistently and persistently stuck that at the bottom of Professional Eye Care's logo.
That's true. I have.
And everything else, and that's where we said, they're both the same. They are one. One's for profit, one's
Right.
not for profit. That's how we developed a hybrid model of sustainability. That's who we are. We're called the recovery of sight. So you've been living out a calling in professional eye care and Morningstar and all the other things you do, but this last 8 minutes of professional eye care and the smile on your face and the energy and the best days kind of thing, it's just so because God brought you to us for such a time as that in your life and in our life.
Well, I would have to say yes, but you know what? It really was because of a time and a place in my life where I gave my heart and my life to the Lord, surrendered my life to Him in a way that I never had before.
Right.
Never
Me too.
before. And I'm so sorry that I waited so long to do that. But it completely turned my life around. And I don't know if you know Susan Hunt. She's an elderly lady who speaks, and I enjoy her messages so much. But I heard her say not long ago that before she surrendered her life to the Lord, that she did just what she wanted to do. And then she said after she surrendered her life to the Lord, she still does what she wants to do. The difference is that God changed her want tos.
Yeah.
And I said, man, I wish I had thought of that first. I've always wanted to say something profound in my life, but I just go around quoting what other people say, But isn't that beautiful? And it's so true of my life. God changed my want tos. And when I allowed Him to take control of my life, it opened up new doors of opportunity that have made this the best ever. And I don't want it to end. But I've asked God to allow me to live and die in Jamaica. But, He has authority over my life, and He has the last word. I trust Him completely, and I trust Him with every situation in my life. And I know that He knows in advance what is going to affect me today and what my life will consist of tomorrow if He doesn't come first. And so I serve Him with joy, and I just feel so, so very privileged.
He changed my want tos.
Yes.
Like, I'm going to scroll that down on the bottom. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
It was interesting. One thing, there's a lot of parallels between you and I, Nurse, because around the time where it wasn't, I don't know what my year was of just saying, I'm just going to give it all to you, Lord, like my sanctifying moment of like truly giving it all up. I was somewhere in the 2002 range or so. And I was doing the same thing that you were doing back in that early days. I was doing 3 months in Jamaica, I think I was 3 weeks. I was 3 weeks Jamaica, 3 weeks America, or our family was doing 3 months and 3 months. Rhonda, if she were on there, she'd tell us because she remembers all those details. But that's what I remember when you were doing it. I was like, well, what's it really take? Like, why can't you do it yet? And I remember that $1,000 thing. I was just like, that's chump change for our God,
Yeah.
And then for me, but sometimes when we're in it, it wasn't chump change for you at that point. It was real, And
Right.
so I just remember, oh yeah, we can half of that we can find in contributions. And I was saying the other half was already going out the back door of our business, either in somebody's pocket or something. So my mind was, if I could just have, this American nurse sit in the office where she's going to pay for herself just to sit there. But Lord, did we ever never?
But you know, when I dug into the facts, I realized that professional eye care was about $1.7 million in debt. Now, those Jamaican dollars, of course.
Yeah, yeah.
But in those days, for our small business, that was a lot of money. And I couldn't.
And I didn't know it. I didn't know that the bills weren't being paid. No. I didn't know. I mean, everything was still working. So like, to me, it was like in our days, we were running it like a nonprofit. We're like, well, we're not taking any money from it. People have a job. It's working. When I show up, I can take care of people. So it's fine. I didn't realize though that there was.
You didn't know about the phone calls that were coming in.
Right, exactly.
So I contacted all of those creditors, got up-to-date balances of what we owed, set all of them up on a payment schedule. Yeah. We started collecting from people who hadn't paid for their glasses, and we started building the business and actually making more money.
Right.
And I really can't remember exactly how long it was, but I don't think it was a year.
It was less than a year.
All of those, we had that debt entirely paid off, and professional eye care was debt free, other than, you know, monthly operating expenses. So that was when the fun really started for me, and we were able to hire some additional employees when we moved to the bigger office there in Mandeville. And we had the screening program and so on. We also started what we called the student work experience program, because I was working with the young people and the children over here in St. Elizabeth in Good Hope District where I live.
Right.
And realized that there were some young people coming up about high school graduation age that were going to be looking for jobs. And so I gave them the opportunity to come to professional eye care, apply, learn how to actually fill out an application, apply for work, and then to be interviewed by me. And then I gave most of them, almost all of them who even showed the interest, the opportunity to come in at a very, very entry level position, and we paid them basically just enough to get them back and forth each day, a little allowance. But out of that opportunity then came the ability to identify some of their skills. Mm-hmm. And to actually offer them jobs where they could be trained and work as regular employees, which today quite a few of the employees are my children or young people that came from the community where I live and that I've had the privilege of knowing.
Yeah, so, you've got a legacy in professional eye care of young people that, you know, those kids all started when they were 17, you know, and they're like, what, 24 or 25, and they're like experience, they're like veterans in the company now at such a young age. So what you did really you know, set the company up for a great future, and those kids, and really helped us with our call, which is to not just the recovery of sight, but to, you know, the whole thing is to set people free from the captivity of poverty and, you know, and value and all those things. So you got girls back there that are going to bring in signs or something? I think
some of my little girls here that are wanting to hold up a sign. Let's see, what does it say? Can you read it?
See, our hi, Dr. MC, I think.
Yes.
There's McCloy. It continues down. We love Morningstar. I know you guys got to love Morningstar. No doubt about it.
This is Sharika.
Right? Yeah.
Hi, Sharika. Mm-hmm. Okay. And this is Sheem. Sheem has a sign too. What does it say? What's it say?
The resolution, if I could get the resolution. Hi, Dr. McCloy. That's a big McCloy there too. I like that.
Wait to him, Sharika. Sheem, sorry. I can't keep their names straight.
Yeah, they're not easy. They're not easy names down there.
No, they're not. Thank you for fixing my hair. Do I look okay for being on TV? Yes, ma'am.
Oh, good. Did they get you fixed up?
Yeah, they're just patting my hair and fixing me up.
Well, you know, this is a good moment for us to kind of talk about Morningstar with your girls there. Like, this is a recent picture that you gave me about up there, about what people don't realize is that you're not just the eye doctor nurse. You are missionary nurse. You are, like I said, you're the nanny of the mountain, or you're the nurse of the mountain up there. And such a great ministry you have to the youth in that area. Tell us a little bit about that part.
Okay, well, this picture was actually taken at Bible school last year, and we have Bible school every summer, and it's one of the highlights of our year. But all year long, we have activities for the youth and the children. Children on Saturday, the youth on Sunday, and also the youth on other special occasions. We've been doing something special called Tuesday Night at Nanny's, and during the last month, actually, we finished it right before the medical clinic, which we just closed, was a series of classes on social skills. And so you girls were both in my class, weren't you? Yes. So they were both in my class, and I presented it as them learning a new language. And I told them that if they will learn how to, smile, greet people properly, and to make good eye contact, and to know how to shake hands and introduce themselves to people, know how to handle themselves well as young ladies, and to show an example for the children, that it will give them an advantage. It will give them an edge. It will give them more opportunity than otherwise, right?
Exactly. Especially when they take interviews at Professional Eye Care.
So that's right. So at the end of each of these sessions now, we usually have a meal, special meal. So at the end of the classes on social skills, we actually had a formal dinner on the veranda. And had the table set with the tablecloths and served family style, which, in Jamaica, we don't really do that very often. So they learned how to pass to the left, and they learned that salt and pepper are married and go together, and, all the, don't chew with your, don't talk with food in your mouth, don't take food in your mouth, and you can chew one bite and all that. And it was so much fun. And then afterward, I brought my Bluetooth speaker out, and we put on, hi, Abby. And we put on some gospel jazz and had a little dinner, moved the tables back and had a little dinner dance. It was so fun. You just couldn't believe it. So these kids might think that I do things for them, but really, the part that they play in my life, can you imagine how empty my life would be without them?
Yeah, it's so true. It's so true. And I know that's really, I think, the driving passion of you is the Morningstar kids. It's not really, I know you love patient care, and I know that you love being a nurse, but I think that the biggest thing that you love is to bringing these children out of the environments and giving them a taste of God's goodness for them. Really, isn't that really the core of you?
It is. And of course, Abby right there behind you was one of my little girls.
Yeah, so we captured her. We took her from you.
She was my first little girl.
Yeah.
And I actually had 4 foster boys who were teenagers. And then she came along, 4 or 5 years old. And I can still remember to this day, how she used to follow me everywhere I went, always had a fistful of my skirt. In her hand, following me everywhere. And I can remember putting her in the trolley at the supermarket the very first time. Her eyes were as big as saucers, and she didn't know whether she's going to like that or not. But after she relaxed down in the seat and I pushed her along a little bit, she really loved it. She always wanted to go with me to the supermarket. So,
hey, now Abby actually orders our groceries online from Walmart, amazing. Believe that or not.
What? Wow.
Yeah.
You are so blessed. All right. We don't have, we don't have a Walmart, but I know if we did, these girls would do it for me.
Oh, they definitely would. There's no question. No question about it.
Yeah, the children have really been such a big part of my life ever since I really started in Jamaica, even when I started that first year of the clinic. So it was now in the past. Now you're making me think about dates, Doc, but it'd be in the past probably 6 years that God laid it on my heart to reopen those in the meantime. The clinic that I first worked at had closed. So God laid it on my heart to reopen the clinic. And so we now have at Morningstar on the property, the youth activities, the children's activities. We have something going on there very, very often, including multi-purpose building for assemblies, all kinds. We have a library. We have a room now that we're going to be setting up for dental. Now that we're going to have a regular dental equipment.
And your dental equipment.
Yeah. You, Doc.
Yeah.
So excited, and so are a lot of other people. We need a dentist. You need a dentist. Yes. Mm-hmm. I know they do because they're always going for the toothpicks. So anyway, our medical clinic is a real big part of what we do, and you know what I have tried to do now over these past few months or longer than that, couple of years, and that is to begin to teach, train, and equip the local people, including some of these older teens, to take responsibility for some of the things that I'm doing. So as I decrease, they can increase, and that the ministry will continue. This is my heart's prayer and my desire, and that is that these girls right here beside me are going to grow up to be the next leaders of Morningstar, and many others besides. We already have some good leaders there, but they're coming right along, and I'm very, very proud of their growth and their desire to learn, their desire to allow God to change their hearts and to give them a new perspective of the future than they would have ever had otherwise.
Yeah, I know it's a real challenging environment that the girls are in, and the boys up there. There's no question about it. There's no sense trying to hide that. I mean, they're in some of the most challenging areas in Jamaica, really. And I know that Morningstar is like a haven. Like every girl wants to stay overnight at your place. Like everybody wants to be able to come up to Nanny's and do one of those overnighters. And I know that what you're doing up there, it's just an epic move. I mean, you were talking about like your continuation, you know, like who takes it over after you. And I was saying that's a very unique seat to fill. Like, that's going to take a very unique person to. It might take like a whole army to actually finish what you're doing, complete what you're doing.
I am praying that God will call someone like He called me.
Yeah.
Because, that whoever God calls, God would equip to do it.
Yeah.
That's really my heart's prayer and my desire.
Nice. Wow. Well, this has been good.
Well, you know what? One of the things that I love here. Thank you, girls. One of the things that I love about working here in Santa Cruz.
Nice guest appearance. We haven't had little guest appearances like that of the girls before, so that was fun for the show.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about working here, and that is that I get to work with some of my very own, you know, this beautiful young. Do you know that she was one of my girls?
Hey there.
A long time ago. When
that's
she was
her
little, she was hey, and she could eat as
she's still feisty.
Yes. And guess what? And now she's my manager.
Right.
Amazing.
Well, here's a great story.
He kind of grew up on my back door too. I don't know. He's one of mine. Yeah. So I'm very glad to work with these fine young people that I love so very much. So very proud of where they are and what they're doing and what they'll continue to do long after I can't do it anymore. Yes, exactly.
But Judy, Reginald, did you guys start at the door? Did you guys start in the? I mean, because you're from the high school program. Didn't both of you come out of that program, or am I missing it there?
Were you in the work experience program?
Yes, no, I was.
Yes. So what they had to do, you know, stand at the door, and whenever they saw somebody approach, just open the door and smile and say, "Hello, good afternoon. Please come in. We're so happy to have you. Please have a seat. Somebody will be with you in a moment." You know, but honestly, if someone could not learn how to greet patients kindly and could not learn how to answer the phone and sound pleasant, they didn't have a job. I mean, I worked and worked and worked with one or two of them to try to get them to learn how to sound pleasant on the telephone. And most of them can, and they do such an awesome job.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say, we had 100% success, but we have enough. And I'm so very proud of them.
Yeah, me too. We all are. I mean, it's fun to watch. We talk about this quite a bit, is that we see how the staff, everybody seems to kind of level up, and I don't want to say that one position is better than another. But they move. They don't stay in one place. Like nobody really stays at the door.
Yeah.
They don't tend to stay at the reception. They don't tend to
Oh,
stay
no.
at the spot. They're always aspiring for more. And
They were promoted one right after the other, and that's what I always promised them. When you prove that you can function well as a doorkeeper, as we called them, then you will have the opportunity to do something else. And so they all grew and into more and more responsibility until now they do things that I don't even know how to do. So
yeah, it's true.
It's really it was awesome.
Well, that's a mark of a real mentor, and really just the foundation that you've laid in the company. I know we talked all these things back when you retired, and we're so thankful that you haven't. Judy, she was trying to say something about her 70th birthday that I'm not listening to.
No, I try to keep my mind. I don't want to hear certain things. I try not.
That's what I say. I'm not listening though, nurse. I mean, you can talk, but I don't hear you.
Think about certain things. I just got my mind from certain things. I don't want to hear. I just don't want to hear.
Well, it's true. Professional eye care has been such a part of my life, and I mean, honestly, when I stop and think about it, I just want to. It really touches my heart to think how you've helped to make it possible for me even to be here in Jamaica. And by the way, I have it over on you, Doc. I'm a Jamaican citizen.
I know.
Celebrated 1 year anniversary of being a citizen of this great land of Jamaica. Yes. And
speak of that, I need that connection. Whoever helped you through that, I do need to get there. I have to.
Help me, Doc.
You did all on your own, didn't you? See,
put through on my own, and it was not an easy task. It was not easy at all.
I wonder.
But thank God finally reached there, and so I'm pretty proud of that Jamaican passport.
You should be.
And you can be sure I'm going to vote in the next election too. You want to know who I'm going to vote for? Yes, man.
So, what do I want to say there? I totally lost my brain on that one.
About citizenship?
Yeah. Oh, I know what it is. You always told me, like this, going back to Judy and Reginald, so they can hear this one too, and everybody else out there. But you said, all I care, Doc, is when I get old and I can't do anything anymore, just set me in the little room with a little box of money and just say, just take here, nurse, count the money tonight. And that's what we're going to do. Like when you get to that point, we're going to get you in there with a little bit of hundreds and 500s and thousands and let you count away.
Problem is I probably can't count them anymore. But you might try. I mean, if that'll keep me here a couple hours a week, I would do it.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Well, I mean, there's so many things that there's so much of the book that you're a part of, nurse. I mean, when I just look at, you go back and reminding me about screening, screening still runs. I mean, it's still what we do. It's still a foundation of our expression and outreach. And so is, I was just telling Judy and Reginald, I was just telling about how in Mobay, it's so busy right now there at Bay West that Mrs. McCloy said, we need to get back to having a door greeter. We just got to have somebody at the door, and like, so there's just so many foundational things that you established that we still stand on, like I like to talk about how, there's a certain generation of us that create a foundation, but then it's the Judys, the Reginalds, the Jackies, right, the other ones that they build on that. Now you're the first floor, and it's our responsibility to go to the second floor and to continue to build, really such a strong, just like a temple for the goodness that God's done for all of us. And so you're such a big part of that, and it's so fun to have you on here tonight and just to talk back through it. It's just really great.
Yes. Well, I should be clear, or you could be clear too, Doc, that I have really not had administrative responsibilities at Professional Eye Care for several years now. So others have already taken up that position. Although I can remember the last time that I organized a Christmas party for professional eye care. I introduced you and Rhonda to your staff of 30 people.
There you go.
To the 3 that we had started out with just a few short years earlier. And I know it has grown way beyond that now. But those were great days, and I will always be so very grateful to you for the opportunity to do it.
Well, Judy and Reginald will appreciate this, that you 10x'd the business. You know, you did the 10. See, they're gonna appreciate that, because you took us from 3 people to 30.
We're growing. We're fruitful.
Yeah, no question.
Growing, and I can't take any credit for it anymore.
Well, you know, we got to give some credits to Mrs. M, you know, the boss lady. We refer to her. You're the nurse lady, you know, and Rhonda's the boss lady. She's taken on your torch and really has brought organization and structure, and she's been the brake for me now, you know, like, whereas, because I don't tend to take my foot off the gas pedal, but when you moved out, then she started putting the brakes on too. But she does.
Well, that's good. You need that.
She's not a brake. She's like you were. You know, I mean, we talk about that jokingly, that you're a brake, but you're really more of a keep it. Let's keep it on the road, Doug. You know, let's not end up in a ditch. You know, so
a gatekeeper.
Yeah. Well, I love it. Well, nurse, do you have anything you want to close with? Anything that you want to put out to everybody that to close this thing down?
Well, you know, there's something that often comes to my mind, because I realize that I have a very extraordinary life. It's just so amazing, but it is definitely not because there's anything extraordinary about me. It's the extraordinary God that we serve, and I want to give him all of the credit.
Yep.
Here I go quoting someone who said something very profound that I love so very much. It was William Borden, who went as a missionary to serve, even though he's from a very rich family. Oh, and I'm not saying that because I was from a rich family, but anyway, he went to serve. But he died in Egypt, still as a young man. And they found in his Bible that he had written, no reserve, no regret, and no retreat. And I really love that so much. And I think that has kind of become my mantra here in Jamaica. And that is that I've given everything, my life, my resources, my heart, and my soul to the Lord, and he's given me the privilege of serving here, and I'm so appreciative of that. And I've not held anything back. I haven't turned back and don't plan to, and I certainly do not have any regrets. So grateful.
No doubt. So good. I love that. So I put on a little ticker down there. My mom says she still has your yellow sofa, Karen.
Oh, really? Well, that's one of the beautiful things that I parted with, you know, when I had that big sale and broke ranks with Ohio and came to Jamaica full time.
Yeah, that's the no reserve, no regret, or no reserve. You didn't hold anything back. I mean, you sold it all. No, you're literally one of those who sold it all and moved out. And
invested everything here and have no regrets.
And you know, that's just a testimony for people that, you know, as hard as that seems to be, like is that not even possible? But you're definitely a testimony that you can do it, and when you do it, you'll never experience the joy. I mean, and I know you experience other things than joy up there. I know there's heartbreak up there for you. I know there's sorrow up there for you, for just your situations you deal with. But I think his joy and his love and his grace in your life continue to overwhelm those other things and sustain you day by day. And
they do. There's one more thing, Doc, that I had written down in my Bible in 2008 when I was set free to come to Jamaica full time. And I wrote down, there is nothing more exciting or humbling than sensing the call of God, and nothing more fulfilling and rewarding than to obey it. There it is. I
Ooh.
brought it out of my Bible just to read it here tonight. Yes, so I'm very grateful. God has surely been good to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Judy.
Yes, Doc?
I see you standing over a show. What I love is on the show is that you see this, that Nurse doesn't just typically, even though she's kind of like, you could say she's kind of a loner of sort, like she's independent, but she's always got her kids around her. She's always got love around her, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah,
so definitely.
Well, they were a great blessing to me. Why wouldn't I? You know?
Well, exactly.
You know, how empty and meaningless my life would be if it weren't for them. So I'm kind of selfish in having them around me.
Yeah.
I love them so very much, and they're just a huge part of my life.
I love it.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, Steve Hunt's there. He's saying he loves it. He's so glad he's able to watch. He's been truly blessed, and your testimony has ministered to him. And I know it's going to minister to a lot of other folks. And I'm just glad that we've got it on video. We've got this archived. We won't be able to forget this. This will go on for as long as there is storage in the cloud, or, you know, whatever, just to put it in there. So we could do this again and again. Maybe we should be on again, Nurse. I can't wait. What I would love is to get you on maybe when you're back in the States sometime, where we've got a little better internet so we can see you with clarity. But we love you. Whether your image is clear or not, the bandwidth of your message is definitely high speed. You know, the story behind you and what you've been and what you've done for so many of us in Jamaica. I mean, the countless numbers. I mean, if you just think about the number of patients that are being set free from the captivity of blindness in these days. If it had not been for your call and your $1,000 need back in the day, I know, and I will stand and assure that we would not be where we are. We would just not be where we are, and those people wouldn't be let loose. So, and that's just in the eye care realm. So before we close, I want you to tell the story about your guardian angel. I want you to tell the story about the guy.
Okay.
I think it's important.
Well, this is fresh on my mind because my brother just asked me to tell him, and said that he's going to be using it in a church service this evening in Ohio. Yes. Well, it was in 2004, and it was right after Hurricane Ivan, which had really devastated the island, including our community. And we had no electricity for weeks. It was miserable. People were out of, the roofs were blown off of a lot of homes. People were disadvantaged. We had no ice water to drink. We had no fans. We had no lights. That was back in the days before I even had a generator. And so it was a time when perhaps I was experiencing a little more stress than usual. But I came down here to the market because one of the things that I did in those days, I had the 4 foster boys who I would send out every day. I said, just go out in the community and do what you can to help people get the roofs back on their houses. And they did. I stayed home and cooked and cooked and cooked. I had 2 blind ladies sheltering with me. They couldn't go home because they lost their home. So we set up tables behind the house, and they washed clothes, did laundry. Every day, all day, did laundry for people, bringing their wet linens and their wet clothes and everything to us to wash. So that's how it was at Morning Star. But anyway, it was during one of those days that I came down to the market to buy my supply of fruits and vegetables, like I always did. And I approached this lady who knows me well. And the first thing, she looked up to me and she kind of looked around. She says, "Nurse, where's the big man?" And I said, "I don't know who you mean." I said, "You mean one of the boys that sometimes comes along with me?" And she said, "No, nurse, I'm talking about the big man." And I'm there wrecking my brain. I was in a hurry, and I was probably frustrated and in a hurry to get back home. And I said, "You know what? You must have me confused with somebody else. I don't really know who you're talking about." And she said, No, nurse. She said, "I know who you are." She said, "I'm talking about that big black man that normally walks beside you."
Crazy.
And so when I just really shook my head and walked away, didn't think any more about it. But when I went home that night, I picked up a letter that my cousin Audrey had sent to me, and she'd written at the bottom of this letter, and verses, I can't tell you exactly now, I think 23, 24, something like that. And, but I hadn't looked it up. And so I opened my Bible and I turned to that scripture. And there stood by me this night an angel of the God whom I serve and to whom I belong, saying, do not be afraid. And my mind immediately flashed back to what that lady had said to me in the market just hours earlier. So it has just confirmed in my mind what I have always known and believed, and that is the ministry of God's angels with me, all around me, and again, around all of those who put their faith and their trust in Him. And it has been just a sweet thing to remember from time to time during these years that I'm here in Jamaica.
Yeah. So you've got a big, strong Jamaican man always guarding you. Got like God put that person there to protect you.
Well, I've got enough of these big, handsome boys around me,
Well, that's what I'm saying. In
I have no idea what he looks like.
And I was just saying, in addition to that, He's put all these children and all these young people that are growing to adults around you too. He's surrounded you with love and things that you could never probably perceivably imagined.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. It's so true, and I am so grateful. Thanks a lot for having me on the program. I had no idea what to talk about for a whole hour.
So I'm telling you, we're an hour and a minute now. So I try to make sure we cut off at an hour. If we need to go on again, you're going to come back on again for us, Nurse. We know that.
All right. Well, we know when.
Yep. And I'm gonna go ahead and close us out here the way that we do every week. And just again, I want to thank you for sharing some of the stuff. Some people not always want to share these things either, and you've really opened up to let us all hear the truth about what God's done for you. So we love you, Nurse, and we love your kids, we love your mountain, we love it all.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.